Hi, this is David Dickens, and we are going back to back with listener questions. Today we have a couple of questions. One about refunds on federal taxes and whether that's a smart thing to do when you're retired. And another from a listener whose daughter just turned 18 and they want to make sure they give her the right kind of financial help. So we'll knock these out. Hopefully there's something in here specifically for you. I'll go get Walter and we'll get started.
Back in action once again here on Cover Your Assets. KC, Walter Storholt alongside David Dickens, President, Wealth Advisor of Creative One Advisors Group, based in Overland Park, but serving Kansas City and beyond. You can find David online at creativeoneadvisorsgroup.com. Fantastic team there, always ready and willing to help you navigate the complexities of finances and retirement planning. We're going to talk about that a little bit today with those two listener questions coming up in just a moment. But David, first of all, how are you? Hope you're doing well.
Well, I'm doing great. I want to peel back the curtain here a little bit. In our, as we were chatting before we got on air, you had mentioned, I knew, of course, but I don't think our listeners know that you are an expectant father.
Yes.
And just got back from a pretty cool family baby shower. So tell us how that is.
Yeah, thank you. It is. We're far enough along, I think, in the process now, starting to tell people, and it's coming quick, David. Early November is going to get here fast. That's the due date, and we're having a boy, so that's exciting. And we had a baby shower back east. We picked a place in Pennsylvania where a lot of our families. We got a few people in Pennsylvania, but we got people in Maine and Baltimore and North Carolina and New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So we kind of picked a halfway point and did one of those big pavilions at a state park and just had a blast of an afternoon with games and all the fun stuff. So it was kind of half family reunion, half the baby shower was the excuse to have a bit of a family reunion, which was fun. Oh,
that sounds so cool. You have so much to look forward to. I don't know if you'll have one or 21 kids, but they are new chapter to a book every morning when you wake up, and you're going to have a blast.
I was thinking, it was funny, the other day I was talking to my wife, Connie, and we were, I was like, all right, so, obviously our attention's on the one for now. Now, we're going to be a little bit older parents here, right? So we've got a little bit of a time factor involved if we want to do more than just the one. So I was like, not to pull the cart before the horse, but at some point we need to have the discussion of like, do we want to try for a second one and, go from there. And we had not had this, like, I thought we were both on the same page in terms of like, probably one, but we'll see if we want a second. And she just right out of the gate was like, oh, definitely two. And I was like, oh, okay. So we've decided this apparently. Okay.
Oh, that's great.
So yes, her clarity is that mama bear clarity seems to be coming through, like very decisive decision making is all of a sudden like becoming her MO all of a sudden, which is really funny. So.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot.
Where you're facing the decisive clarity on the other side.
Yes, exactly.
So I better get used to this new Connie, huh?
Yeah. Probably a good idea.
I like it, because we'll just sit there and talk for 3 hours about where we want to go eat for dinner. So I would invite the opportunity for somebody to just say, we're going here. So anyway, some fun times to look ahead. And we'll keep you updated over the next couple of weeks as we get close to due date.
Good. Well, that's all very exciting, and it's going to be very cool for you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Let's get to our listener questions here. I don't know if any of them have to do with, I was going to try and make a segue from having kids to one of these questions, but I don't know if I'm quite that skilled to make these.
Well, number two might get there. Yeah, it's kind of dealing with a kid. 18 years from now, it would apply. You're right. All right. So a little pre-teaser on that one. Here's our first question, David, as we dive in this week, which, by the way, folks, if you missed the last episode, go check that one out, too. We did 2 more listener questions. So if you just like these kinds of episodes, but you missed the last one, go check that one out. All right. So this listener says, last year was my first full year of retirement, and I got a refund on my federal taxes. Should I be doing something different with my tax withholdings this year? So I thought about this. I looked through my client book and said, how do my clients feel about this? And I came up with a couple of different answers because people are different. I have a couple of clients who were taking IRA distributions above and beyond what they needed to patch their income together. One had 2 Social Securities and a pension. The other just had 2 Social Securities, and they were not 73 yet. So they didn't have to take money out of their IRA, but they were, and they were getting refunds. And so the discussion there was, you're taking money out
of something that's growing tax deferred before you need it and before you have to take it out at 73 or older. So what we did there was we just decided we need to only take out the bare minimum, not a penny over what you need to make your income work. We can always go in, let's say that their income was a little bit short in a month. All we have to do is go in and increase the amount. There's no increase amount for the next month. So there's no good reason to take money out of your IRA early and pay the tax early when you can go in and get it anytime you need it. So again, all we did there was try to resize the amount of money that we're putting into their checking account every month such that there wasn't an overage and they weren't paying taxes earlier. Now, I have a couple of other clients that, for whatever reason, good or bad, they just enjoy getting a refund. So they aren't the slightest bit worried about having a little bit extra coming in and paying a little extra in taxes early because they really, really don't want to pay come the following April. So generally speaking, here's what I recommend to clients and how to size their withholdings. You really want to drive, I think you really want to drive to a minimum refund amount. But the other thing you want is you really don't want to owe, because at that point, the IRS is going to expect quarterly payments. And so we try to size everybody's withholding such that they don't have to make quarterly estimated payments to the Fed or to Topeka or Jeff City. So a lot of that ends up, there's a financial reason to not take too much out too early, and it has to do with taxes. But you also kind of want to make sure that you're meeting your own personal and emotional needs. So if you take a little too much out, don't sweat the details. But if it bothers you, there are really easy ways to fix those withholding amounts. So if you're a good do-it-yourselfer, you know exactly what to do. If you're not a very good do-it-yourselfer, ask somebody. You're welcome to ask us, but a way to tweak those down so that they more appropriately match the amounts you're going to owe when your taxes are calculated next April.
Okay. It's an interesting question, and one that I think is kind of funny depending on who you ask, right? So some people are going to really love that refund every year, that sort of like surprise or forced savings opportunity. But I guess getting the refund's better than owing a lot. So I'd rather fall on that edge of the equation here.
It is. And back in the 10, 15 years ago when interest rates were basically zero, you didn't have alternatives. The money that you sent early to the IRS, it really wouldn't have earned you anything while you were waiting for that 9 months that you could have sent it to them later. Now, your money market account might still be paying you 4%. And so that's money that the IRS is paying you zero on when you pay it to them too early. So it makes, depending on the size of of the payments you make to the IRS, you could be earning that interest yourself in an interest rate environment that we have now. So lots of different things to think about in that area.
I think this is something too. Do you find, David, in that first year of retirement, it's not something I hear talked about a lot, but I've known a few people who have retired recently, and they've mentioned to me in that first tax filing in retirement, they were like, whoa, we really miscalculated. And because you have so many changes from what you normally expected. It's kind of an untalked about problem, I feel like, at least from my personal experience. I'm imagining maybe you don't see it that often because you're talking with clients about these things in advance, so it's not a surprise.
That's right. But in the planning process, though, I've had a number of clients say, well, I think I'd just like to take out a lump sum and then I have it sitting in my checking account waiting. And our advice almost always is you can go get extra money anytime you want out of these accounts. So most of my clients feel more successfully retired when we set up a retirement paycheck for them. All of our client accounts are held at Schwab. So all we do is we have a recurring distribution sent from Schwab to their checking account, just like they were still working, and they're getting a retirement paycheck. If it's a little too much, we reduce the amount. If it's not quite enough, we increase the amount. But trying to get them into a rhythm like they've been in for the 40 or 50 years they've been working, now they can structure it like a retirement paycheck, and it just feels really comfortable to them.
It's a really good caveat to cover, so I'm glad you threw in that extra nugget there. If you've got any questions about taxes and retirement, you're in the right place because we talk about it often here on Cover Your Assets KC, and it's something that David's talking about with clients, and the team is always on the lookout for as they meet and talk about your financial future. So if you've got any questions for David, you can reach out to him, of course, creativeoneadvisorsgroup.com, or give them a call at 913-317-1414. Make sure you're taking a close look at your tax situation in addition to the rest of your financial plan and your portfolio. All right, David, last question for today's episode, and it brings back in that child timeline a little bit here. My daughter just turned 18, and I'd like to help her get off on the right foot with retirement savings. What's the best way to get her started? I'll just subtract 18 years from this question for my purposes, or maybe next time we do listener questions, we can make it, I just had a child.
So this one's tricky. We don't know if this daughter is going to go to college, if she's going to go to trade school. Maybe she's not interested in any of that, and she's just going to get started working. So I have 4 things written down that I thought were important that might cover all of those bases. So first is, if she's going to work, I've had clients who fund their child's Roth IRA for them. If she has to have earned income, but she can contribute technically 100% of her earned income up to $7,000 a year. So you'd be giving a gift. You'd set up a Roth for her. You can fund it directly up to $7,000. So if she makes $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a year, you're putting in $7,000. And of course, that's money that, with a few exceptions, she would not touch until she's 59 and a half. But that's one thing. Set up a Roth for her and fund it yourself. You can do that 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, whatever is comfortable for you. And if she has let's say she goes to work, they have a 401k at work, but her salary is just enough to cover her living expenses, and she doesn't feel like she can participate in the company 401k. Well, you can write her a check on the side. She can use that to fund her living expenses and contribute out of her paycheck to her 401k. That is likely going to help her company. Probably offers a match on that, a matching contribution based on what she puts in. So that's kind of a dual-edged benefit she could get out of that type of situation. Maybe she has student loans or is planning to have student loans. So another thing you can do is maybe help her pay for college or trade school expenses all along the way so that she doesn't get to age 21 or 22 and have a big load of student loans to pay off. And then fourth, and I might have listed this first because I think it's the most important, and high schools and colleges really do a crummy job of this. But I think it's really important to help her understand personal finance basics. And I only wrote 2 of them down. There are probably 6 or 7 I could have thought of. But the first one that she should understand, and hopefully you've modeled that for her, is to live below your means. And obviously that just means if you make $50,000 a year, spend 40 of it. If you make $120,000 a year, spend 100 of it. Make sure that you're not racking up debt to fund a lifestyle that your income does not justify. And then number 2 follows from that. Make sure that she knows that she should not have credit card debt. We've talked about that a number of times on this podcast, but credit card debt is kind of like rust that eats through your car or termites that eat through the floor of your house. It builds up slowly, but once it is rooted in your financial life, it's really, really hard to get rid of, and it's very expensive. And credit card companies love this because the interest rates are outrageous, and once you're in, it's really tough to get out. So a little bit of financial education. Maybe you've been doing that since she was 6 or 8 or 10. If you haven't, this is a really good time to try to do a little bit of that, as much as she's willing to listen. Give her a few tips like this that will help her structure her life, her adult life from the start, and not have to find ways to dig out of problems later.
Yeah, it's great advice, David. If I can pile on, I'm not a financial advisor, right? But I was 18 not too long ago. I guess it was a little while ago, David. Now that I think about it.
You're not that young, Walter.
I'm not that young anymore. Might still feel like it at heart, but maybe not. But it still feels like it wasn't too long ago. But I love your live below your means. One thing I tried to do in the early parts of my working years was live on half. Try to save half of what you make.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then when I got married, it was let's live on one of our incomes and save the other. And if possible, save the bigger one, right? So and I'm not going to say we always achieved it, but we aimed for it and have tried to do that because it's so hard to go back. Once you elevate your means and your lifestyle, it's really hard to go back the other direction, everyone. So anyone who's in retirement or nearing that age certainly knows that, David, but younger folks, we don't know that.
Yeah, exactly. So. This reminds me of living below your means is one way to make work optional. So the first listener question from the last time we did this podcast was about a guy who wanted to start his own business. He wanted to quit his corporate job, and we didn't know that much about him. But my question of him was, have you already succeeded? Is your retirement already seeded, or do you need this new business to succeed in order to retire? If you consistently live below your means, if you consistently plug away at your retirement savings, and you have a vision for where you're trying to go in the future, and you keep resetting those goals, then all of a sudden work can and oftentimes does become optional when you're in your late 50s, early 60s, and you don't find yourself scrambling around in your mid to late 60s wondering, can I retire now? If you know you can retire in your late 50s or early 60s, then all of a sudden your outlook on work is dramatically different. So this young lady's 18. She's got a lot of years ahead of her, but a little bit of personal financial advice up front probably takes her a very long way.
Yep. My last piece of advice, too, is because you're going to live below your means, and once you've established an emergency fund, just to slip something like that in there, too, and you're not living on the credit card debt, my last piece of advice is take risk. Because now you have the opportunity to, and that's what's going to allow you to then uncover your own businesses later in life or, do things that you never thought you might be capable of doing. So take care of that foundational work and you'll be more comfortable at taking risk in life a little bit, just here and there. I think that serves people well. But don't do it if you don't have the foundation. That's the key, right?
Exactly.
So... lots of good questions over these past 2 episodes. Really appreciate folks sending those in. If you want to contribute, you can certainly do that, and we can feature your question on a future show. Just send it in to David, and you can do that at creativeoneadvisorsgroup.com. Just look for the contact button, and you can get in touch that way. Or you can just have one-on-one conversations with David and the team. Again, that's at creativeoneadvisorsgroup.com, or you can call 913-317-1414 to set up a more in-depth review of your financial plan and your retirement review. And if you need to find that contact information, we've got it easily listed in the description of today's show. So just check there for whatever app you're using or on the website. You should be able to find it pretty easily. David, good stuff today. Thanks for the guidance, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again soon.
I will look forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks, Walter.
Sounds like a plan. That's David. I'm Walter. We'll see you next time right back here on Cover Your Assets, KC.
Creative One Advisors Group has been proudly serving families in the Kansas City metropolitan area since 2003. Over the years, we've evolved to help meet the needs of our clients, becoming KC Financial Advisors in 2010. In November 2021, our advisory business was acquired by Creative One Wealth LLC, C1W, and in January 2025, we officially adopted the name Creative One Advisors Group. Previous episodes were recorded under the branding of KC Financial Advisors, which has since been rebranded as Creative One Advisors Group. Any references to KC Financial Advisors should now be understood as referring to Creative One Advisors Group. Investment advisory services are offered through Creative One Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. Creative One Advisors Group is a DBA of Creative One Wealth. Insurance services are offered through licensed insurance professionals. Investment advisory services are provided in accordance with the fiduciary duty of care and loyalty that includes putting your interest first and disclosing conflicts. Insurance services have a best interest standard, which requires recommendations to be in your best interest. Creative One Wealth is not affiliated with or endorsed by any government agency and does not provide tax, legal, or estate planning advice or services. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No investment strategy can guarantee a profit or protect against loss. Neither asset allocation nor diversification can ensure a profit or guarantee against losses. None of the information contained herein shall constitute an offer to sell or solicit any offer to buy a security or any insurance product. Insurance product guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. The Creative One family of companies includes Creative One Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor, Creative One Securities, LLC, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor, and Creative One Marketing, LLC. These companies share common ownership. Additional details regarding advisory services are available in our firm's ADV Part 2A and Form CRS.